December 7th, 1941. It's just before 8 in the morning in Hawaii. On the island of Oahu, the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor is just starting its day. It's a peaceful, quiet Sunday. Sailors are slowly waking up. Some are getting breakfast, others are on deck cleaning, and many are still sound asleep in their bunks aboard massive battleships like the USS Arizona and the USS Oklahoma. The harbor is calm, the air is warm, and absolutely no one has any idea of the storm that is about to break. At 7:55 a.m., that tranquility is shattered. The sky, once clear and blue, is suddenly filled with a deafening roar of hundreds of engines. Over 180 Japanese aircraft torpedo bombers, dive bombers, and fighters appear from the clouds. They have launched from 6 aircraft carriers, steaming unseen hundreds of miles away. This moment, this sudden violent intrusion, marks the beginning of a day that will forever be known as a date which will live in infamy. The first wave of the attack is swift, brutal, and completely unexpected. Japanese torpedo planes fly low over the water, releasing their deadly payloads into the sides of the anchored American battleships. Simultaneously, bombs rain down on the airfield's Hickam Field. Wheeler field-destroying American planes on the ground before they even have a chance to take off. The strategic goal is clear: cripple the U.S. Pacific Fleet in a single, devastating blow. Just minutes into the attack, at 8:06 a.m., disaster strikes the USS Arizona. A Japanese bomb, a specially modified armor-piercing shell, smashes through its decks and detonates the forward magazine. The ship erupts in a cataclysmic explosion. The blast is so powerful, it lifts the 35,000-ton battleship out of the water. In an instant, over 1,100 men are killed. The Arizona sinks to the harbor floor in less than 9 minutes, becoming a tomb for most of its crew. The scene across Pearl Harbor is one of absolute chaos. Flames shoot hundreds of feet into the air. Thick, black smoke billows from burning ships, turning the bright morning sky into an apocalyptic twilight. The water itself is on fire, covered in a thick layer of burning oil from ruptured fuel tanks. Men are jumping from their ships, swimming through flames and debris, desperately trying to reach shore. The air is filled with the sounds of explosions, gunfire, and the screams of the wounded. Around 8:40 a.m., just as the first wave is departing, the second wave of Japanese aircraft arrives to continue the assault. Nearly 170 more planes swarm over the harbor, focusing on the targets that survived the initial onslaught. The USS Oklahoma, already heavily damaged by multiple torpedo hits, begins to list dangerously. Within minutes, it capsizes, trapping hundreds of sailors inside its hull. The USS West Virginia and the USS California, both heavily damaged, sink to the shallow harbor bottom. The USS Nevada, despite being hit, attempts a heroic run for the open sea. Its crew tries to get the battleship underway, making it a prime target for the second wave. They beach it to avoid blocking the harbor channel. Smaller ships are also torn apart, and the destruction is relentless. But amidst the horror and surprise, American sailors, soldiers, and airmen fight back with incredible courage. Despite the lack of warning, anti-aircraft guns start firing at the enemy planes. Men on the ships, many of them half-dressed and still dazed from sleep, man their battle stations. On sea ground, pilots George Welch and Kenneth Taylor managed to get 2 P-40 Warhawk fighters into the air from a smaller, less targeted airfield. Against overwhelming odds, they engage the Japanese attackers, shooting down several enemy planes in a desperate, heroic dogfight. Their actions are a small but powerful symbol of the American spirit, refusing to break. By 9:55 a.m., the last of the Japanese planes have turned back toward their carriers. An eerie silence falls over Pearl Harbor, broken only by the crackling of fires and the calls for help. The 90-minute attack is over, but the devastation is almost incomprehensible. The proud Pacific Fleet is in ruins. The final toll is staggering. 2,403 Americans are dead, 1,178 are wounded. 8 battleships are either sunk or severely damaged. Over 188 U.S. aircraft have been destroyed, with another 159 damaged. For a nation that was officially at peace, it is the deadliest foreign attack on American soil in its history. The harbor is a graveyard of twisted metal and sunken warships. The USS Arizona lies broken at the bottom, its flag still visible, a permanent memorial to the men lost. News of the attack travels fast. Radio broadcasts interrupt regular programming across the United States, delivering the shocking information to a stunned public. The sense of disbelief quickly turns to anger and a powerful, unifying resolve. The debate over isolationism, which had divided the country for years, is over in an instant. America is united in a way it had not been since the Civil War. The very next day, December 8, 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addresses a joint session of Congress and the nation. His voice is firm and resolute as he begins his now famous speech at 12:30 p.m. Yesterday, December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. He details the attacks not just on Hawaii, but across the Pacific. He asks Congress to declare that since the unprovoked attack, a state of war has existed between the United States and Japan. The response from Congress is swift and nearly unanimous. Just 40 minutes after Roosevelt finishes speaking, at 1:10 p.m., the United States officially declares war on Japan. The nation is now fully committed to a global conflict. Just a few days later, on December 11th, Japan's allies, Germany and Italy, declare war on the United States. America is no longer on the sidelines. It has entered World War II on two fronts, in the Pacific and in Europe. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a tactical victory for Japan, but it was a colossal strategic failure. It failed to destroy the American aircraft carriers, which were out at sea on maneuvers and would become the key to America's naval war in the Pacific. More importantly, it awakened what a Japanese admiral would later call a sleeping giant. The attack transformed the United States from a nation at peace to a nation at war, galvanizing its industrial might and its people toward a single purpose: victory. That quiet Sunday morning in Hawaii marked the end of an era of American isolation and the beginning of its role as a global superpower, a change that would shape the rest of the 20th century and beyond. The smoke over Pearl Harbor was the signal that the world had changed forever. Thank you for watching. If you found this look into history compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that shaped our world. We'll see you next time.